Hi, I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style and 16 Style Types.
And I'm Jill Chivers from Shop Your Wardrobe and 16 Style Types. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about body image, which is a really complex topic. It's quite a sensitive topic, and it's quite a universal topic in a way. It's amazing how many women feel they have some degree of body image issues, or they've dealt with them in the past, or they're still dealing with them now. And what we'd like to do is just open into a conversation about this. It is a far-reaching topic. There is a lot of depth to it. There are many facets to it, and we're certainly not going to be presenting, a set of answers. But
No.
my view, and I think our view, is that it is a sensitive topic that affects a lot of women. And by talking about it, we open into a space of sharing and a space where people who are dealing with issues of body image can feel they're not alone. That they might find that it gives them greater confidence to explore what's happening for them in a way that's right for them. And I think with anything like this, knowing that you're not alone and that there can be a pathway forward, I think can be very, very helpful.
I think too, one of the things that's interesting is that some people say, I think if I just learn what suits my body, then my body image issues will disappear.
Right.
And I actually see them as two different things. They bump up against each other,
Right.
but one doesn't solve the other.
Yeah.
And people can have body image issues at any size or shape. This is
So
not
true.
I have met people with body image issues with every size and shape under the sun.
Yeah.
And I think probably most of us have some. And I think one of the hardest things is that the media is constantly bombarding us with images of perfection that are completely unattainable because none of it is actually realistic anyway.
Yeah, they've all been
anymore.
manipulated.
Everything has been digitally manipulated, even movies these days. It used to be you watched a movie, that was their body. Now there's digital manipulation to make the movie star who is already slim appear slimmer.
I know.
So therefore, nothing we see is true in that way. So all those kind of, often the people who are put up there as icons and idols, that's actually, they're not like that.
Yeah, it's not
That
reality.
is not reality. But it gets into our brains and it's very hard to remove those images. And then every magazine, if you're just standing in the supermarket and the magazines at the checkout and it's like, oh, look at this star's fat butt. I mean, so there's all this negative messaging too about women's bodies, which is really destructive.
Yeah.
And I think too, so knowing that, yes, style can help you dress the body you have, it may not get rid of your body image issues. Like thinking that will fix that. I think body image issues run much deeper. They often come from messages we've received in the past. This might be something you need to get some professional psychological help with because, I don't know if anybody, you can definitely feel better about yourself when you feel and look more stylish. And I've certainly seen some transformations.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee that suddenly, everything will, all the issues will just fall away and that you'll just feel great in yourself. I think, often it's more related to other things where, that can happen. But even then, you might just go through life with body image issues.
I've had body image issues. I was not a skinny kid. I was a fairly chunky kid, not very tall. My brothers teased me mercilessly and called me horrible names. I'm not even going to say the name they used to call me because it still can provoke a very strong and immediate emotional reaction. And part of that is because as grown women, we can look back at our childhood selves and apply all kinds of nurturing and sometimes logical and rational ways of making sense of that. But the emotional content may not have actually moved a great deal at all. We can tap back into that state.
The broken child inside us.
Yes, very, very easily. So I can relate to this, and also having over shopping issues. I think there is a bit of a sort of a process. The content is different, but the process has some similarities. And my view about my own over shopping issue, which I think has some relevancy to body image issues, is I don't feel cured. I just feel I'm able to live with it in a way that has dignity and grace for me. And I'm perfectly comfortable with the idea that this is a part of my life. It's a feature of my life. And so I've done some reframing, and all of these things I think help. I'm not sure there is an answer or a single approach that works when it comes to body image issues. I think there are multiple things and people who have been helpful in this space. And for me, what I think is a good approach is you try different things from somebody whom you trust, who has some credibility in this space, that they know what they're talking about. And you see what works for you, because each individual pathway is very personal, and what you might need, somebody else doesn't need or doesn't need in the same way.
Yeah, so I mean, this is something we'd love you to share with us your feelings about this, because I mean, if I could provide you with the answer, I would. Believe me, if I knew what the secret key was, I'd be shouting it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
And I do, I think, look, certainly learning what suits you can help.
Absolutely.
Because it can make you go, well, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm not feeling as terrible as I used to do when I look in the mirror. But, there are many women who find it difficult to even look in the mirror.
Yes.
And so this is running much deeper than just what you put on your body. And sure, I can, figure flattery will probably take about 5 kilos off you. It's not going to take 25 off you if that's your expectation.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I think it's that also managing what is my expectation. Like that there is no magic cure with clothes.
Big part of it.
And that going, okay, well, are my expectations outside of reality? And that might be something that's worth thinking about. And I really do recommend finding someone who's nurturing and, maybe some psychological help, if this is something that really bothers you. Because if you're not going out because you have body image issues, if you are not partaking in life, if you are saying no to things, and I absolutely know this happens for some people, then this is something that's actually you really need to deal with. Because it's not always, like we're talking that quite often most people aren't noticing you in the way you feel they are noticing you. And that's something I've noticed when people say, well, I'm going to an event and what am I going to wear, because everybody's seen the dress I already own at home, and I'm going, do you remember what everybody else wore to the last event? No. Nobody's remembering you in the same way. People aren't making judgments in the same way. That you are judging yourself. Most people judge themselves way more harshly than other people do.
We are generally focused on ourselves, but I agree. If body image issues are really disruptive to your well-being and your approach to life and your activities, then I think that's a good indication that some further support is going to be helpful to you. And for me, having dealt with a fairly significant issue in my life, and who knows, it isn't over yet, taking the first step is an act of courage, an act of faith, and you can't move further on your journey without that first step. But sometimes that's all that's required, just one step. And sometimes that is acknowledgement to say, okay, this is not helpful. I am being disrupted. My sense of daily well-being is not at peace and at ease. My sense of activity and engagement with the world is severely disrupted by this. I have enough information to know that a first step. And that first step might be something simple like doing a bit of online research, reaching out in a forum where you can feel that it's a safe space. Just sharing with somebody in your life that you're having some issues. It doesn't have to be a big radical fixing step. And I think that can be helpful as well, because sometimes and I know this from personal experience, when you recognise that something is disruptive and out of kilter in your life, it can often feel like the weight of the world has come down on you. And so recognising, I just have to do one thing, and from that thing, another thing will come. That's helpful, I think.
And I think too, when we have something that might be like you're over shopping, you're probably hiding a lot of that. So often when we are hiding things that are making us feel bad, that actually stopping hiding can be a massive, it's hugely vulnerable. But I always think about vulnerability as strength.
Absolutely.
That if you can, share in a safe space, that actually is incredibly courageous and very strong, and that you actually have the strength to deal with this.
That's why I started blogging. And even to this day, where I feel I'm in a confident place with my over shopping, I can still appear in the media and I avoid comments like the plague, because people who don't know anything about the issue will say sometimes the meanest things, either sometimes about me, but more generally about the issue. So, you know, I am aware of how putting yourself out there can feel very vulnerable. And I just make sure I put strategies around myself to make myself feel safe. But I think if I'm not talking about it, then there's going to be more people who are suffering in silence about this.
And feeling alone. I think that's the thing, is it's often the feeling alone
Yeah.
is one of the hardest things.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're sharing that, you can start to feel a little bit less alone, and maybe somebody else has got a strategy that's worked for them.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
please do share with us. And, you know, if you found anything that's really helped, because I think that the majority of people have some sort of body image issue or have had it along the way. So I think it's something that's actually quite universal. But, you know, we hate to think that you're not living your life because you're letting that hold you back.